the single best buy in all of tabletop role-playing.
It's so cheap.
Well, welcome to Every Edition, the Tabletop RPG talk show. I'm John.
I'm Jesse.
And we always have 3 segments each episode. And so our Loot the Body segment is going to be taking a look at the Tome of Beasts put out by Kobold Press.
Our random encounter today, we're going to be talking about white box, new and old systems, and character creation.
Absolutely. And our morale check will be going over the news of the day for the tabletop role-playing game industry. But first, Jesse, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Every week is like Christmas with Wizards of the Coast. They put out something new and they announce new things every week. New things for me to spend my money on, including this awesome alternate cover for Strixhaven. The Strixhaven book's finally out. It looks really good. I haven't delved into it. We will for a later episode, probably after the holidays.
Yeah.
But there's all manner of cool things in here. There's a new owl race. There's new magic items that are Strixhaven specific. There's new spells that people on the internet are bickering about.
Okay.
So we'll get into that in a future episode. But it's sweet.
Great. Nice to wait till after the holidays in case it ends up under your tree. Give everybody a chance to get a read. I haven't touched it yet, so I'm looking forward to spending a little time over the holidays giving it a read. The alternate cover is very attractive.
It looks a lot better than the Fizbin's one. I'm a collector of the alternate covers, and this one's just miles better.
It looks great. I love the purple's cool.
Yeah. How you doing, John?
I'm doing all right. I've been experimenting a little bit with our social media. Specifically on our Twitter account, I got a request from a listener to explore the Encyclopedia Magica. So this has been sort of in the background of a couple pictures that I've been sharing online of other things. I use the background of the shelf here when I take a picture of something to talk about it on social media, and somebody commented, "Hey, what about that Encyclopedia Magica? It's a 4-volume set. I'd love to know your thoughts on it."
There's so much.
It is, it's a 4-volume series that came out from TSR in the mid '90s, and it covers every magic item up until the point of its publication.
Sure.
So it's got stuff from first edition, from second edition, from basic Dungeons and Dragons, everything up through
all the magazines.
Yeah, all the Dragon magazines and Dungeon magazines and Polyhedron news zine, all the way up through the mid '90s. And so it's very comprehensive. If you like magic items, it's still a wonderful treasure trove. And so I've been going through it in alphabetical order and tweeting, an individual tweet for each magic item.
What's your favorite so far?
Well, so I've been in the amulets, which seems like for forever.
For a week.
I'm still in the amulets. At the time of this recording, I'm almost about to hit 40 magic items.
Okay.
And I'm still in the amulets. So my
swords is going to be bad.
That's what
sort of.
I don't know. I maybe bit off more than I can chew. We'll see it.
4 volumes.
It's more of an endurance test, I think, than anything. So we'll see how long I can go. But so my favorite magic item so far, the Amulet of Amiability.
Okay. What is amiability?
So amiability is a friendly disposition. So this amulet, if somebody puts it on, they're not going to attack anybody. It's the murder hobo device that you've been looking for. It's the other thing that's cool about it, besides the fact that it makes you really peaceful. I think it gives you a bonus to charisma checks and things like that. Like it makes you, better at conversations and
being
negotiating.
A people person.
You're more of a people person, right? But it also gives you, and this is in the description of the magic item. It gives you the ability to create infinite chocolate chip cookies and the ability to create infinite fresh flowers.
So you're even more of a people person.
You've got a lot to give, both in terms of baked goods and a bouquet. So.
Yeah. I feel like that's something you give to a person at the table who you want them to be at the table, but they're kind of like running your game amok.
Yeah.
So you don't want to kick them out, so you just give them that. And it's just like, at that point, it's not a magic item, it's a cursed item for them.
Yeah, right. It is a cursed item. No, and it's those types of magic items to me evoke, best role-playing moments, right? Okay. And so that's why I like it. It's not about crunch. Like, it's not about, getting a +2 here or whatever. It's about, hey, your character now has to act differently, so your role playing has to be differently, and in fact, it's going to create those memorable moments of role play. That to me is the best magic items that you can have. So the Amulet of Amiability, I highly recommend checking it out. And if you want to join this campaign, this voyage that I'm on Twitter, it's #EveryEditionEncyclopedia. So check it out on our Twitter. And like I said, I'm in the 30s, headed into the 40s, still in amulets.
All right, it's time for a morale check. A morale check is when we go into news of the week, and news for me this week. I heard about the new Wizards of the Coast partnership with Critical Role. They're coming out with a campaign book called Call of the Netherdeep, which is very reminiscent, and they sort of, on the website, they have the release date is March 15th, by the way, so it's a little ways out, but they have like a little description. It takes place on Marquette, which is the current is a continent on Exandria, the Critical Role world, where the current Critical Role campaign takes place, that has these sort of like underground cavern tunnel systems, very, very reminiscent of the Underdark.
Okay.
And Call of the Netherdeep sounds really, really close to Out of the Abyss. So if we see, if we start out in a drow encampment as prisoners, or we see demon lords running amok, we know kind of where it's going. But I'm excited for it. The last book that Critical Role put out was just sort of like a lore tome.
Yeah.
It came with like player options and monsters and things like that. So this one, we're actually getting a campaign, co-written most likely by Matt Mercer, who's the DM of the Critical Role campaigns.
Yeah.
So it should be interesting to see where they go.
So maybe I'm showing my age a little bit, but I'm not familiar with Critical Role. I've got I've got the book, Explorer's Guide to Wildemont.
Yeah.
And I liked some of the races that were in there and some of the player options and stuff, but I've never listened to the show. So as a this is a place where I'm a noob. So what do I need to know about Critical Role?
So I'm also pretty much a noob to at least the show.
Okay.
And it is very much a show. If you watch it for, D&D content, you're probably only going to get about halfway there, as they're all voice actors. They're all popular voice actors,
okay,
and some of them actors and actresses. They play regular D&D, but they really go into the role play. Each voice actor has their own voice for their character. Matt Mercer, the DM, has different voices for all of his NPCs that stay pretty much the same, session to session.
Okay.
But they just started, I think about 8 weeks ago, they started the third series of their campaign. Third campaign. The second campaign went like 200 sessions or something like that. So these are like epic scale campaigns.
Okay.
So I figured, hey, it's starting a new one. Let me get on the ground. This is the first time I'm listening to them, and it's actually really, really fun, but definitely more of a performance thing. And even if you're just listening to it, it's really cool with all their different voices and things they do. Like obviously they roll dice and whatnot, but it's definitely more of a show. Definitely more of a performance.
Like an old-timey radio show.
Very much like a radio show.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yes. Yeah, we kind of talked about this a little bit when we were starting Every Edition, the idea of a real play podcast. And that was just something I wasn't interested in at all. Because to me, the experience of role-playing is about the escape.
Sure.
Right? And I'm not going to be able to escape if the camera's on.
Sure, if it's
right?
there forever.
Yeah, if it's like documented and there forever, and that's just not how I would want to role play it. It's not to say that I'm not performing, when I'm playing, but I'm performing for myself and my friends. It's not meant to be a wider audience than that. And so, we said like, well, we want to start a podcast. What do we want to do? And for me, it was all about a talk show, just like we're doing now, because I love the hobby and I love to collect and play and to talk about. There's endless things to talk about. But real play, I don't know that that's something. Maybe I do it for like an episode or two or something, but I don't know. It doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah, it loses some of that specialness. You know, if you play a game at a table or online or whatever, that game is between you and the people, which is why I think they've chosen the platform that they do it on.
Yeah,
because it's a performance.
There you go.
They tell an awesome story. They have awesome characters, people who know how to play, and I look forward to it. For the longest time, I had not watched Critical Role, almost as a sort of like old man on a hill type of deal. I'm not going to do that.
That's me.
But I did it from a stance of like, I didn't want to like taint my idea of what my session should be as a DM.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to like pick up the Matt Mercer style of DMing, which is more of the performance and voices and things like that. But having started with this third campaign, I've not lost any of that. I still know exactly who I am. And if anything, I'm gaining some helpful insight on, how to navigate games and things like that. But I think the biggest sort of example of what they do versus what like a typical real play would do is like if you go into a tavern and you try to, talk to the tavern keep for a meal or like some information or whatever, it might take you like 2 minutes, around the table. It takes them like 15 or 20 minutes. Every person's got to talk. They talk in their voice. Matt Mercer, he's doing his special voice for whatever character it is. It is theater of the mind, an actual. They could turn it into like a movie or something.
Okay.
It's like that level. It's interesting, but it's got its own place.
Yeah, again, it's bringing people to the hobby, so I'm not against it, but it also doesn't have any particular appeal to me.
A different take on real play and different than Critical Role, I found a podcast called Dark Dice, which is a 5th edition like horror, more based in horror and like eldritch horror.
Okay.
The system uses a very similar system to Call of Cthulhu for like a madness level.
Oh, neat.
Of craziness or whatever.
Yeah, sanity.
Yeah, sanity level.
Yeah.
So the players will go through and play their session. They'll record it. I don't know if they do a visual or whatnot, but they record the audio, and then they'll go back through and write a script based on what happened, like a creative script, and they'll hire voice actors and they'll just make a production of it. And then like if something cool happens, like a critical or whatever, they'll add in the audio from the original, them rolling the dice and reacting to the 20 and whatnot. So it's a different style, and they got Jeff Goldblum to be in the second season as a voice actor, so that's pretty cool. It's a different take on the real play that I enjoy a lot.
Great, cool. Well, in other news, James Floyd Kelly successfully kickstarted Delver issue 3. So I'm a fan of the Delver zine. It's a zine for the Old School Essentials game, and it's just filled with randomly rolling tables. And so issue 3 was successfully funded, and there's going to be a Kickstarter for a 4th issue coming out at the end of January or early February of 2022. So I'm looking forward to that. This particular Kickstarter also funded not only issue 3, but also a Tavern Workbook, which effectively helps a game master, a dungeon master, and a player work through some in-between game actions. And so this particular in-between game action is starting your own tavern, starting your own business, right?
That could be fun.
Opening a tavern, yeah. So it kind of goes through the different locations where you could have your tavern and all that kind of stuff. And it is a workbook, so you fill it out with your dungeon master. Take it home and fill it out in between game actions. And if you want to do it with more than one person or more than one party, I think you buy another workbook. And so it's a cool idea, I think. Looking forward to checking it out. And he is thinking about doing more of these style workbooks for in-between game actions. So maybe we'll hear more about it. James Floyd Kelly also shared that he is thinking about stopping Delver after issue 6.
Okay.
And
we're
he's
halfway there.
Yeah. And I think he's worried about running out of steam or it losing interest or appeal. I don't feel like I could ever have enough random tables, but I get it. And I think it's probably better to bow out
Sure.
on top rather than to kind of have it peter. And he mentioned, in addition to thinking about more workbooks, he's also thinking about possibly a zine for the Mothership sci-fi role-playing game, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
In other RPG new news, that's actually super exciting.
Exciting.
I was like blindsided by this.
Yeah.
Marvel is putting out a new tabletop RPG
Excellent.
where you can build your own superhero, or they say you can play as existing superheroes.
Okay.
So that'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But there's a play test coming out in March of next year. It uses a 3d6 system, which is really neat and really different, at least to me. The way you crit in that game is when you roll your 3d6s. If you get 616,
Nice.
you crit and something awesome happens. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, the Marvel Earth, where in the multiverse, where most of the Marvel stories take place, is Earth 616. So that's kind of callback to that. But on Amazon right now, you can pre-order it for $10.
That's a good deal.
That's where I want my playtest books to be.
Yeah. No, I think that sounds like the right price.
Yeah.
I'm going to pre-order that.
Oh yeah.
Right now, I'm looking for a good superhero role-playing game. I've never played Mutants and Masterminds, which is kind of considered one of the best superhero role-playing games right now. And forget about trying to get any of the old 80s TSR Marvel stuff. Imagine, the prices are insane. So having Marvel come out with a new system, yes, please.
Super good. And of course, because it's Marvel, there are alternate covers.
Nice.
Not sure exactly where you can get them yet, but there is one in particular that I like. It's got Scarlet Witch on it that's done by Peach Momoko, who's a very prevalent Marvel cover artist right now. So I'll try to figure out where that's from.
Yeah, great. Yeah, give us an update if you do. And finally, I had mentioned before the Mothership science fiction horror role-playing game. This game just had a successful Kickstarter launch, and it raised over $1.4 million.
God,
which is unbelievable.
That is so much money,
right? And this is a game that started off as a zine.
That's insane,
right? A tabletop role-playing game that started off as a zine, raising almost $1.5 million. So it's put out by Tuesday Night Games. It's a D100 rules light game, and this Kickstarter was for the official first edition. So they're going to be coming out with a core box that's going to be reminiscent of the original Dungeons and Dragons box, or even more close to the point, like the Traveler.
Oh, sure.
Black box.
Do you think it'll come with like a D100, like an actual golf ball?
Oh no! It doesn't come with a golf ball. But it is going to come with dice. It's got a pair of D10s for the D100.
Nice.
You can right now pick up the zine version of the game. So if you don't want to wait to find out more about Mothership, you can pick up the 44-page zine from Exalted Funeral right now, and that version of the game, which I guess is like D&D, or like original Mothership, or whatever, or playtest Mothership, whatever you want to call it. That was originally released at Origins in 2018, and it won a ton of awards. So it's had a number of third-party adventures come out, and a lot of third-party support for it. But this is going to be the official first edition. It's spruced up, it's polished. A couple rules changes from what I hear, but I'm really excited to try it out. And I did order on Black Friday, I ordered the original version of Mothership because I don't want to wait.
Yeah.
And so we'll have to take a look at that. And
hopefully the actual box when it comes out. I've been sort of searching for a good sci-fi RPG.
Me too.
For a while. And I own, I think, all of the equivalent of monster manuals for Starfinder.
Yeah.
And
Alien Archives.
Alien Archives, yeah. And I've never played Starfinder. I've not ever played Shadowrun, or even Cyberpunk. I've still not played that yet. And like the Alien RPG looks really awesome. I've not played the Star Wars one. Like there's so many slightly older sci-fi ones. This is neat and interesting because it's new,
Yep.
and it seems to be taking a big step forward.
Yeah, I think it's filling almost like an OSR, an old school Renaissance science fiction niche or something like that. But it's certainly got that like indie cool vibe right now. I mean, I happily jumped on the bandwagon.
Sure.
It was so successful. It was worthy of throwing in a couple bucks to kind of be a part of it and see what's going to end up happening. So looking forward to that. And like you, I'm looking for a good sci-fi game. I've never really settled in on a science fiction game that I've loved the way I love, Dungeons and Dragons or Dungeon Crawl Classics. So
hoping for the best.
Hoping for the best. Yeah.
So let us know what your favorite sci-fi role-playing game is. Contact us at everyeditionrpg@gmail.com or let us know in the comments. I'm just looking for sci-fi games.
Yeah.
Stuff to talk about, stuff to play. Do you like the Alien RPG? Do you like Starfinder? Let us know.
Yeah.
Check out our website, everyeditionrpg.com, to find all of our socials. And let us know what sci-fi stuff you may be into.
I love talking Star Frontier. I never played the TSR game Alternity, which was based on 2nd edition D&D, but I'd be curious to hear people's thoughts on that. And that's probably a game that I'll explore in the new year.
I've not played it.
I also have very fond memories of the Star Wars D6 from West End Games. So I don't know that any Star Wars game has ever topped that. So,
and like I said, I have so much. I have a lot of Shadowrun stuff. I have a lot of Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
I have a lot of Starfinder. But it could just be because of our location and like the people that we know. But I've never played a sci-fi game.
Okay.
And I'm just looking for good ones.
Well,
and I'm really excited for Mothership.
That sounds like your New Year's resolution, Jesse. 2022, and mine too. We should do some more. We should do some more sci-fi.
I agree.
Role playing. I know you mentioned the Alien role playing game. That's actually going to be reskinned as a Blade Runner role playing game. So that's coming soon. All right, so let us know. everyeditionrpg@gmail.com. Check out everyeditionrpg.com for links to all of our socials. And like I said before, don't forget about Twitter. Hashtag everyeditionencyclopedia. All right, it's time for a random encounter. Today's random encounter, we are going to be exploring the White Box fantastic medieval adventure game.
Yes.
Which is a tabletop role-playing game that is based on the original Dungeons and Dragons game from 1974.
It's before me.
Also before me, believe it or not. But still, this game is still in print. It's put out by Seattle Hill Games. And White Box itself is based on the work of Matt Finch, who is known for putting out the Swords and Wizardry game.
Yes.
Through Frog God Games. And Swords and Wizardry itself is all of the original Dungeons and Dragons from 1974 through all the supplements, all 5 supplements. All of that information rewritten, reorganized, reformatted.
Easier to read.
And published, right? And available,
yes.
right?
Yeah, available.
And available, right? So you don't have to pay eBay prices if you want to experience original Dungeons and Dragons. And Swords and Wizardry is a great game, and it has a lot of wonderful third-party support. But White Box is based on that, but just the original 3 pamphlets. So just the Men and Magic book, just the Monsters and Treasure book, and just the Underworld and Wilderness Adventure book. So just books 1, 2, and 3, which were in the original box set. And so Swords and Wizardry is a reinterpretation of those rules. The Matt Finch version first came out in 2009.
Okay.
And it was it had a couple problems, mostly with formatting. And so Charlie Mason comes along and takes the work of Matt Finch and perfects it. And in 2016, Seattle Hill Games releases their version of White Box, fantastic medieval adventure games. And one of the first things I want to say about this particular game is it is the single best buy in all of tabletop role-playing.
It's so cheap.
It's $4, right? And this is a complete game ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
Like you can't, for the cost of a latte, you are playing a role-playing game. And it is the holiday season as we're recording this. So if you're looking for a perfect stocking stuffer for that role player in your life, you can't do any better than this. Both the cost and the value.
And it's like rolling up a character for the segment. It's surprisingly easy. It's incredibly quick to roll up a character. Yep. So you can quite literally buy this for $4, wait 3 days till it shows up or whatever, and play that right then and there.
Absolutely. We both rolled up a character using the white box rules as a way to kind of make sure that we understood the system. And to be totally honest with you, when I rolled up my character, I was like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
Like, and there wasn't. Like,
that was it.
I was done.
You were ready to play.
It was 5 minutes if it was 10 minutes. Like it wasn't that much time. Like, and you were ready to rock and roll. So one of the things that struck me about white box as I was rolling up the character was this is the perfect game to take on a camping trip. This is the perfect game to take on a beach vacation.
Sure.
Right? Because you only have to carry this one book.
You don't need 6 books.
Yeah. And, you only need a 20-sided die and a 6-sided die.
Yeah.
Right? So it's even light in terms of the numbers of dice you need. So I was struck by, if I wanted to play with friends or family on vacation, or I was in a remote location or something like that, this is the game to throw in your backpack. And or to have with you at the beach, and to be able to play a role playing game with family and friends. It's perfect.
And the rules itself are like pretty light and pretty simple.
Yep.
You roll your stats and whatnot, but in terms of like class and race stuff, there's not too much you need to think about. You don't need to plan for 15th level,
right,
or whatnot. You're a dwarf. You're a thief. There you go. If you're playing the optional thief rules.
Right. No, and there's limitations, right, based on, if you pick a particular race, then you're not supposed to be certain classes, right? So I think the obvious example is if you're a dwarf, you're not allowed to be a wizard, right? And some people don't like those types of limitations automatically turn them off, right? And they're like, nope, this is not the game for me. I want to be able to be whatever I want to be whenever I want to be it. And the truth is, I actually gravitate towards games that have some limitations in terms of character creation.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because I feel like it helps to quickly define a world and do some world building.
Sure.
Right? So I automatically know that something about dwarves in this world, right? Because I can't roll up a wizard. And I also know then as a dungeon master, if I do create a dwarven wizard, right? That's a
plot point.
That would be a plot point. That's really special. That would be something that would blow the characters' minds, right? And so those limitations, I find it's a quick way to do world building, and it is the potential for really interesting plot points, really interesting stories if you then break those rules.
Sure.
And so I like restrictions. It's kind of that old like adage that, creativity is actually at its best when it is constrained.
Sure.
Right? If you can do anything at any time, it's sometimes harder to do anything at all. Right?
Depends on who's telling the story, but
yeah,
I think overall.
And I think if you can do anything at any time, just taking it back to thinking about world building, I don't know a whole lot about your world.
Sure,
right? You have to work a little bit harder, I think, to explain things, to flesh out that world. So this is a particular, fantastic medieval game that has some restrictions, and I kind of get it. Like I kind of know then certain things to expect, and so if something is out of the ordinary there, then I also know that that's special.
That helps with the just sort of pickup game that it is, too. You're not bogged down by, do I want to be a sorcerer or a wizard? And do I want to be a tiefling or a human?
Yeah.
You've got clear-cut defined, all right, you're an elfin mage.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep. Yeah,
move forward.
Move on. Yep. And this is, you said, a pickup game. That's perfect. That is what I think White Box is best at. This is not going to be a game that you're going to want to use for, a long epic campaign. This is, oh crap, half the people can't make it tonight.
Yeah.
And we want to throw a quick game together. Well, let's just quick roll up some characters and do a one shot with
Easy
this.
enough, yeah.
The other thing that occurred to me, how White Box would be useful, would be for introducing kids to D&D. It's so rules light. It really does introduce the basic stats, the idea of rolling a 20 to hit, all that kind of stuff. Armor class,
one saving throw,
right? One saving throw, just one number, and so it really is a great my first role playing game as well. And it just so happens that it was the first role playing game, and that's kind of cool too in terms of the history, history of it all. So. And
I liked, I built a dwarven thief.
Okay.
And I liked, as a thief, you could only wear leather.
Okay.
So there you go.
Yep.
You're capped. You don't have to choose. Oh, well, if I take chain, I've got a disadvantage on stealth. You don't have to worry about any of that. It's just easy enough. You get your weapon. You're allowed any of these weapons.
Yep. And you're not allowed plate.
You're not allowed plate. You're not allowed to wear certain stuff.
Yep.
Easy.
Yep.
These decisions are sort of made for you, so it's easy to pick up the game
and get on with it. Right? Is kind of the point. Right? It's just get on with it. Yeah. So you mentioned the thief class. That is one of the optional rules. So one of the things about White Box is it's not confining itself just to those 3 pamphlets in terms of sort of like reprinting mistakes or even sort of trying to think outside the box. So it presents a lot of optional rules that weren't a part of the original game. It just tags them as optional, right? And so one of the things it does is presents the thief class, which was not in the original 3 books, but it was in the Greyhawk book, which was the next book that came out. And so it presents it as an optional class.
And it's not game breaking.
Which is great. No, not at all. It's great. It's a wonderful way to kind of say like, hey, we still want to present the original 3 pamphlets, but we also want to say like, oh, you can add this. Yeah. Same thing with, with armor class. So it presents the ascending armor class that most of us are used to from 3rd edition on, right? I cut my teeth in 2nd edition, so I've played with THAC0. I've played Descending Armor Class before, and I remember when 3rd edition came out, and man, I didn't miss it for a second. Like, just truth, right? Like, you want to roll, the Ascending Armor Class is what, what's intuitive.
Yeah, it is very intuitive.
And that was the one thing about when 3rd edition came out in 2000, I was like, oh, they made combat so much better, right? Like that was the reaction of my table and the people that I was playing with.
We're gonna get some hate comments.
That's okay, but I mean, it's all right. Like they're wrong. I mean, the truth is, it was something that was an improvement of the game at the time. And if I do have nostalgia for THAC0, and I'd every once in a while, if I'm gonna play a 2nd edition game, I'll play THAC0.
Sure,
but it's not how I'm going to introduce somebody to tabletop role playing. And I think once that generation of gamers is no longer on the earth, I think role playing will continue, and I think THAC0 will be
fade into history.
Will fade off. It's because it won't have that. There won't be the same nostalgia for it. I do have. I don't want to take it back a little bit. I do sometimes have nostalgia for THAC0, and I get it, and I understand it. I think the one thing I learned from THAC0 and that style of play is I still am the type of player who likes to pour through books at the table. Right?
Figure out what your pluses and minuses are.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind that crunch.
That sort of pause. Let's look at the book kind of deal.
But I appreciate most of the games in the old school Renaissance. They give you the option for both ascending armor class and descending armor class. So like old school essentials does that, gives you both, and White Box gives you both too. So that's nice. That's a nice consideration for modern players.
I think another big thing for this, very similar to Dungeon Crawl Classics, the character sheet is 1 page.
Yeah,
it's super. I don't want to say dumbed down, but it's very simple.
Simple.
It's very intuitive. Everything's kind of where it should be. There's enough space for everything, but it's 1 page. I don't need 4 or 5 papers to find my stuff.
The math in this is also condensed. So it's only -1 or +1. Mm-hmm. That's it.
And you're only using 2 dice.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, and you're only using 2 dice. You're rolling a 20 or you're rolling a D6.
Yeah.
So just as an example, all the damage that weapons do in this game are either a D6 -1, a D6, or a D6 +1.
Yep, like daggers I have written down here, D6 -1.
There you go.
Easy.
Easy peasy. That's it. That's all the math that you're
Yeah.
going to do. +1 and -1. So again, perfect for kids, perfect for rules light, perfect for introducing people to role playing games on vacation or what have you, something like that to jump into the games. One of the pieces of this that's a part of old school gaming that is not a part of modern gaming, and it'd be fun to play with it and bring it back, is the idea of hirelings.
Oh, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So the idea that you have a group of NPCs that you hire that carry your stuff and carry your treasure, and you have to worry about their morale, and you have to worry about their
safety.
And their loyalty to
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
they could betray you. That's such a cool aspect to dungeon delving. I wanna bring that to our games in the future. And
Rolling through, I was taking my gold. I rolled for gold,
Yep.
see how much, and I spent it while I was building my character. And I got to the hirelings, and I was like, "Oh dang! I should have saved some money. I don't want to carry all this stuff. I want to hire somebody else to do it."
Absolutely.
So I think that's really interesting. And the Game Master's random NPC book,
Yes.
the blue book that
Yep.
we had sort of touched on, has hirelings and things like that.
Oh,
in it.
great.
So yeah, I think that's just like that's not a thing in sort of
Right.
modern gaming, at least not the games that I play.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting sort of, and you could work that into the story of your GM.
Yeah, it was never a part of any. Even when I was playing in the late '80s and early '90s, it was never a part of any game that I played. So it is an old school part of gaming that I would love to experience. How's that work with hirelings and the complications that creates?
Yeah, and like watching through Lord of the Rings, you're watching all the hobbits fight with all of their belongings on their backpack, and like that's okay if they're hobbits, but if you're a paladin and you've got all that stuff on your back plus plate mail and everything, you're going to be a little hindered. So if you want that to be part of your game, you could add in a hireling. And
Yeah, you got a sword boy.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Your little squire.
That's right, your squire. So something else about White Box that I think is important is, and again, why it would be perfect for vacation or camping or something like that. The combat is really meant to be theater of the mind. This is not a counting out your squares miniature game. There's no rules for that. And so it is perfect for theater of the mind because it's meant to just be, again, part of the rules light nature of it is it didn't have a strong conception of like the visual aid as a part of the game. If you had any type of visual aid, it would just be to help your mind, not to
if you made them.
Yeah, just not to constrain you by the rules or anything like that. So perfect for theater of the mind style of play. It really lends itself well to that.
So what kind of character did you make?
So I made an elven magic user.
Okay.
Named Leonard.
Leonard.
So Leonard is an elven magic user. I had some crappy rolls. That's the other thing I love about, because the math on this is so condensed, right? I have a 5 in strength, a 6 in dex, a 5 in constitution, and I rolled 3d6 right down the line.
Same.
So I did it the true old school method. But even a 5 in strength, it's just a -1.
Sure.
So it's not the end of the world, right? Not like in other edition, like if you're playing a 5 strength in second
-2
edition
or
would be like earth shattering, right? And here, like the worst it's going to be is a -1.
Yeah.
So that's okay. So you don't have to fudge first I've been rolling up a character by myself and I was like, do I fudge these numbers? It's like, nope, I'm not going to do it. I got a 5, I got a 6, and I got a 5. That's just how it is. I'm going to accept it. And it's just a -1.
Yeah.
So not the end of the world.
When I was rolling up my character, I got initially, so it goes like strength at the top, then dexterity.
Yep.
And I'm playing a thief. So I was like, I got my strength roll was a 7. I was like, okay, got the bad one out of the way. Dexterity comes by as a 15. I was like, yes.
Good.
And then going back through at the modifiers, 15 is only a +1.
Yep.
I was like, are you kidding me? I got all excited, but like that's the beauty of it.
It works both ways,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, your top score also isn't going to be
Yeah.
that great. So yeah, so that was, and you know, just like we said before, there's only one saving throw. You have one number for a saving throw. So if you're dungeon mastering and you need a character to save against anything, it's just one simple check.
They don't have to spend 5 minutes looking at their character sheet, trying to figure out the math.
And there's no, there's basically no skills. It is it's an ability score and attribute system at its core. Also has the original 3 alignments, so it's just lawful, neutral, or chaotic. Lawful is sort of your good, and chaotic is sort of your evil, and then neutral obviously is your neutral. I've been kind of gravitating towards. I sort of like that too, in that it does. To me, in a modern game. I when I'm dungeon mastering, I don't allow player characters to play evil characters.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because I actually think it's kind of boring. Because
sort of one note.
It's one note. You know what's going to happen. The evil character is going to betray the party and is going to try to kill everybody or steal everything and take the focus onto them and try to derail things.
Sure. Sometimes.
So that's been my experience with a party that has like one evil character or something like that. It'd be different if you're playing a game where everybody is evil. That can be cool.
Sure.
That can be really cool. But if you're playing a mixed bag and you just have one evil character, you know what's going to happen. So I usually, if we're sitting down at a table, unless everybody wants to play an all evil campaign, I'll say no evil characters. It's too one note. It's too simplified. So actually, reducing the alignments back down to lawful, neutral, and chaotic opens the door up to more evil-y options. I think
you lose the sort of limitations that come with evil.
Right.
Like chaotic could mean anything.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to be a murderer.
Right.
You can just be sort of out for yourself. And using the party or whatever. There's a bunch of different ways that you can go.
Or loose cannon.
Yeah, loose cannon. You don't have to be just the guy that betrays everybody.
Right. Yeah, and I think then good and evil is defined by your actions.
Sure.
Right? So if you're chaotic, you could potentially be evil if you murder the party, right? But as long as you don't do that, then there's no reason for your actions define you in a way that I really like the simpler alignments. I just think it then does say so the role play is up to you, and
trying to explain the differences between the 9 different sort of
quadrants.
mainstay alignments to a new player. What's the difference between chaotic neutral and chaotic evil? There's like a little bit of a difference.
Yeah.
Not too much. This is just so much simpler.
Yeah. All right. So if you're interested in exploring White Box, it's a digest size book. Like I said, it's $4. And there's actually 3 different covers. So if you search online, you'll be able to find 3 different covers. This Red Dragon one is the easiest one to find, but there is an all black and white one. And another one, and at $4, I mean, you might as well get all 3.
Get them all.
You gotta catch them all.
Pack rat.
The other thing is the PDF for White Box is actually free on Drive-Thru RPG. Sure. So you don't even have to wait for the Amazon delivery of your $4 product. You can just get it for free right now and check it out for yourself. So I would encourage you to do that. And there are some additional supports. So if you fall in love with White Box and then you want to expand, there is a gaming company called Gallant Knight Games that puts out a White Box omnibus, and they actually do have a sci-fi version of White Box called White Star.
Okay, maybe we'll have to get that and take a look at it.
Yeah, definitely. And I was actually thinking, for whatever reason, what popped into my head when I was looking at White Box and then looking at White Star, I was thinking, wow, this would be perfect for a Masters of the Universe role-playing game. Like just smush the White Box and the White Star together, and you've got your Masters of the Universe. I guess because He-Man's kind of a Conan-ish type, and this kind of is of that of that world. So I was thought that'd be a good Masters of the Universe role-playing game. So, but check it out. White Box from Seattle Hill Games. All right, so let us know what you think. Have you played White Box Fantastic Medieval Adventure Game? What's your experience with White Box been like? Also, love to hear what's your experience been like of playing role-playing games on vacation. Do you have a go-to role-playing game that you like to play with family and friends when you're away from home? So you can't have all your stuff.
I don't have my 3 backpacks of books.
What do you bring with you on vacation? And also thinking about the idea of having a mixed company, a mixed bag of people at the table. So some people who have never played role-playing games before, how do you welcome them? What's your go-to game for mixed company, especially thinking about being on vacation? Let us know at everyeditionrpg@gmail.com, and you can check out all our socials at everyeditionrpg.com, and we hope to hear from you.
All right, it's time to loot the body. This episode's Loot the Body, we are focusing on Kobold Press's Tome of Beasts. I really like Kobold Press. I like their campaign setting. I like their books. The stuff that they do is pretty awesome for 5th edition and for the role-playing scene. But the best things that they have, in my opinion, is the Tome of Beasts and the Creature Codex. So 2 gigantic tomes of monster manuals. And there's so many things in these books that I've taken and I've been like, oh, that looks cool because they all have art. And I've just made a session out of it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're going to go explore, see what this thing is. I'm going to make you guys fight it or deal with it. And we're going to go from there. And now it's part of the story.
Excellent.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, the Tome of Beasts came out in November of 2016, like Jesse said, from Kobold Press. Kobold Press has not only these different creature books and monster manual variants, they also have a book called Deep Magic, which is a book of spells, and they also have a book of magic items called the Vault of Magic. So they're very much in the realm of like, here's more monster manuals, here's more magic items, here's more spells. Go to town, right? Giving you more crunch.
More firepower.
Yeah, more firepower for your table.
So the Tome of Beasts was very essential to the starting of my homebrew campaign. It had I had gotten it at sort of the same time that I had started my homebrew campaign and needed a little bit more help, like sort of fleshing out the world and seeing where the players went. And looking through, like I said, going through for various like cool things to encounter. I, of course, because it's Dungeons and Dragons, I went to the dragon section of the book. And the biggest thing that caught my eye was the Voight Dragon.
Oh yeah, me too.
It has they sort of actually in the Critical Role Wildmount book they have dunamancy and like. Magic that's relative to like gravity and time and things like that.
Okay.
And the Voight Dragon is very much like that with its breath weapon and whatnot. So I thought this was really cool. So my big bad guy rides a Voight Dragon. It was really cool to sort of, the players haven't fought it yet.
Yeah.
But they have experienced it, and having them go against that was pretty cool. I also introduced bear folk, which I'll get into in a bit.
Oh, cool. Yeah, the Voight Dragon, the picture looks like Nicobolus.
Yeah, it looks like the magic, the sort of main bad guy in Magic.
Yeah. And its breath weapon is Starfire, so it's like a space dragon, and so Starfire is different from regular fire because it's both fire damage and radiant damage. So I thought that was a cool kind of spin on just sort of the fire breath weapon. Also have radiant damage. I also was drawn to, in the dragon section, the Mithril Dragon. Which its breath weapon is metallic shards, which I thought was really cool, like like shrapnel. So that
does it say specifically if it's mithril or if it's just say metallic?
Oh, that I don't know.
Okay, that'd be cool. Like maybe in like a homebrew setting, you have it shoot mithril. So if you kill and like or survive the dragon somewhat, you can like harvest all.
Oh yeah, collect all the mithril. Well, that would make sense, and also would make just going to a place where a mithril dragon is valuable. Right?
Yeah.
Collect the shards. So yeah, that sounds cool.
And this book has like for each of the dragons, it has stats and interesting information about each of the dragon's lairs.
Oh, great.
So if you have no idea of where a Voight Dragon would live, I mean, it kind of looks like a constellation, so it probably like lives in space.
Yeah.
But
That's what, it's a space dragon.
yeah, exactly. It has stats and information for like layer actions and things like that. So
Cool.
You can kind of get into the nitty gritty with it.
Cool. Well, in addition to checking out the dragon section, I also, when I pick up a new monsters manual or a new bestiary or what have you, I go right to the dragons, and then I usually go right to the golems, believe it or not, because there's always so many different kinds of golems.
Sure.
And it's a place for for some creativity and some variation. So the Tome of Beasts has the Horde Gollem, which is a living dragon horde come to life, and it comes from the dragon paranoia.
Sure.
In Fizban's guide, there's a horde mimic, which is sort of very similar idea. But I like that this one is built on a dragon's paranoia about its treasure, and what better to defend a dragon's treasure than the treasure itself, right? I love that. I think that's really cool. There's also a steam golem, which basically is like a steampunk train kind of golem. That's whatever.
Optimus Prime from the 1800s.
Exactly. And a salt golem, which I thought was interesting because they reference it as being a golem that you would encounter both in coastal regions, but also in the desert.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure.
So I thought that was a cool, variant on like a stone golem.
So I played a one shot. I think the last time I actually played in Dungeons and Dragons as a character, I played in a one shot against a calzone golem.
What's that? Like an Italian calzone?
Like an Italian calzone, but a
here.
golem. I think we went to like a bakery or a pizza shop or something like that, and it was in the basement, like tormenting people.
Is that like Pizza the Hut?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That is not in the Tome of Beasts,
No,
but it's a golem. It's pretty cool.
That's a very particular kind of game, I think, a calzone golem. No, but those are two things. When I pick up a new monster manual or bestiary, I check out dragons, I check out golems, because I'm looking for that sort of diversity, but of the known, right? Like that, where's the creativity in stretching something that's already existed.
I definitely gravitate towards dragons, but other than that, I look to either devils and demons, or any sort of humanoid or new potentially playable race.
Okay.
So like in Starfinder, the Starfinder Alien Archives always come with like 15 new playable races.
Okay.
Their creativity is insane. But
you mentioned the bear.
Yeah, so the Tome of Beasts have bear folk, and they're actually like one of the main races in Illyria, my homebrew world.
Oh, okay, cool.
In a certain region, that's it's kind of where they live, and they're all bear folk. So it was really interesting because the players in the first session were sort of just dropped into the middle of combat. The bear folk came to their aid, and none of the players had ever encountered bear folk before. And there's these like standing upright humanoid bears with weapons and armor, and they were like, are they on our side? So there was a little bit of diplomatic stuff going on too.
Yeah.
It created a really awesome role-playing session, but the bear folk are sweet.
Cool. Yeah, and the Tome of Beasts includes then too additional notes on some of the creatures in it for their Midgard setting, which is Kobold Press's campaign world. And so they have campaign-specific notes. And the Tome of Beasts has seen a sequel. So there's a Tome of Beasts 2 that's already out. It's seen a pocket version, so there's a smaller softcover version. It's seen a deck of cards for the creatures, and it's seen pawns.
Really?
So it's run the whole gambit of like support material and all that. It's also available on Fantasy Grounds and Foundry Virtual Tabletop. So this is as supported as any book you could imagine, and it really does. If you're bored with the Monster Manual or looking to surprise your players with something new, it's a great place to look.
There's tons, and this goes beyond just like we said, the Tome of Beasts and Tome of Beasts 2. There's also the Creature Codex,
right,
which is getting sort of the same treatment. Kobold Press just does a really good job of adding in sort of ancillary and extra stuff to 5th edition.
Yep, good third-party support.
Like you could run sort of a West Marches style of, there's no campaign, there's just sort of, hey, we all decided to get together today to do something in the Dungeons and Dragons world. what are we going to do? Oh, we're going to flip to a random page and fight whatever monster that is and have fun. So I think it's a super awesome pickup. And Kobold Press is just a fantastic company and has done a lot for the game.
Excellent. All right. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. This has been our 7th episode. Remember to send us a note, everyeditionrpg@gmail.com, and check out everyeditionrpg.com for all of our socials, and join the campaign on Twitter. Check out Every Edition Encyclopedia, hashtag Every Edition Encyclopedia, to join the quest to explore every magic item in the Encyclopedia Magica.
Every tome too, right? Doing all four volumes.
Well, we'll see how far I can get. I'm still in amulets. Here we go. Thanks a lot, everybody.